What's good, fam? Welcome to Subs Over Dubs podcast, episode 15. My name is Vision.
I'm Rebel.
Let's talk about some anime this week. So, once again, we always start from the top. My Hero. So, what'd you think about the episode?
If I'm being honest, I cried a little bit, a couple times, man. It was a really powerful episode, really emotional. Obviously, my guy's girlfriend had to come in clutch. And, it was power of friendship, can always get to a guy.
Have you had to draw like a specific moment that made you feel like you shed a tear? What was it specifically? At what part?
Mm, I think it was more so of like you could just feel the burden
Mm-hmm.
slowly lifting off his body, and when she's just like, look at him, just look at him, and then the little like reptile lady was like, oh, that's the kid who saved me, like that's crazy, I didn't know he was a student. And she was like, when I think this is the part that like gave me goosebumps, when she was like, he has a special power but doesn't mean he's a special person.
Yeah.
Like he's just like us, and at the end of the day he's just a kid in high school, and like you just feel that weight of him just being like, bruh, and I was like, that hit, it's like he's trying to do so much, and they're still looking at him like he's a burden, and I'm like, this guy's trying to save you, bro. This guy's literally like not eating, not sleeping, not taking breaks to defend these people, and they don't want to let him sit there for a little bit. That also pissed me off too afterwards, or beforehand.
Yeah, because if you think about it, he represents, even though he's strong and he's a hero, he represents the target for the enemy. So I can understand
Yeah.
why the people have a general mistrust. Because like, look at they didn't save him the first time, and their target was him. And now that they're all together again, you're gonna bring the very person that they're after, and you couldn't protect us the first time. So why should we believe you to protect us? Now, especially since you're bringing their target to everyone. I can kind of see the why they'd be kind of upset or
Uneasy about it.
uneasy about it. But I would say I didn't necessarily cry, but I definitely felt like more emotion. I think when we saw, I forgot the kid's name, but he has the hat. The one Coda, when he saved in season 3 or 2. I think that was like a tough moment. Like I was like, him saying, I was scared to come toward you because I was just frightened, but once things kind of fell into place, he found the courage to go run to be there for him. So I thought that was a powerful moment. But yeah, in general, it was
It was almost like a contrast, like he came to Coda the first time, and then when he was just telling him like, hey, I guess when they were like, why don't you run or whatever, and he's like, I can't, like I'm not gonna let anything happen, like I'm gonna come to you, I'm gonna save you. Kind of felt like the same contrast where it was like it was Coda's turn to like,
be
in a way, save him. Yeah,
Yeah, because everyone, like, this has kind of been foreshadowed before, but with Lady Nagant, I think, the sniper lady, when she spoke about, we are seen as the heroes, but who's saving the heroes?
Yeah, that's cold.
So, like,
That was a cold line when she said that.
we're kind of seeing this take place where he's taking on the burden and running himself down, and he's burnt out, but who's going to be there to save him? And that's kind of, I think, the moral of the story of this episode. We see the dynamics between the heroes, his classmates, and the people that they're supposed to be protecting. But at the end of the day, who's protecting Deku? And this comes down to his friends kind of stepping up and like letting them know that we understand what your role is, and we're not going to stop you from doing that, but we're also going to protect you from ultimately destroying yourself. So I thought it was a good episode. Definitely a lot of emotions. And I
What I
think
like about the season is like, even if like this is one of the only shows right now that like, even if it's an episode that doesn't have action, they make up for it in so many other ways. Like with Lady Nagant, like her backstory, even though it's like, I guess you could say it was not necessarily like, it wouldn't have added, or like that story wouldn't have added too much value had it not been in there. But like they still found a way to kind of get us, pull at the heartstrings, if you will.
I think a big part of that though is because we're at the tail end of the series, so everything's hyped.
That's true. Yeah.
We got the story coming to an end, so all these little decisions and things have more weight to it. So I think that's why we are like the episode can be what it is because we're at the climax. This is where things it's gonna matter the most. So I think that's why this season is playing out that way for us, and we're feeling this type of energy, I guess we can say, at the end of the day. So yeah, another good episode. I'm looking forward to seeing we see All Might drive off and then Stain kind of pop
That was
up.
really cool.
So we'll see what happens. I think what's going to happen, though, he's trying to go save the civilians who didn't want to go to the evacuation shelters. He's going to get in a situation where I think Stain's going to have to save him.
Interesting.
I don't think he's going to try to attack one. I don't think. Because, like, this is what he always wanted. And he also said, All Might is the only hero that will...
It's like a real, right?
Yeah.
Like that he sees as a real hero.
So...
Do you think, in your opinion, there's been any bad episodes in season 6?
The only one I'll say is, like, the first episode after they fight Shigaraki.
Oh, when it's like basically just a recap. And
It was like, that was the only
that
one.
was unnecessary. Skip the week and just call it a day.
It's like I just
I
watched.
forgot about that too, because in my mind I was like, I don't think there's been a bad episode except for that. That was
the only one I would say would be deemed a bad episode because we're watching a six episode recap when we just watched like.
yeah. Facts.
Yeah, I mean it is
Skip
what it
the
is.
week. Skip the week, Crunchyroll, bruh.
Yeah, it is what it is. You don't get a whole bunch of filler with My Hero because of the way the anime is structured, but we could have done without
Still
that.
solid though, man. I'm really hyped up for that, and that's one of those shows that like I actually look forward to watching.
Yeah, because this next episode is gonna be the last episode of the season. Oh no, yeah. So I think it's only 13 core. I don't think it's going on for 2 cores. I don't think it is, anyways.
Really?
I think I could be wrong, but I could have sworn it was 13
I
episodes.
thought this was the second core, no?
Technically, yes, because it's part of the war.
Was the actual like
It's part of the invasion.
raid, right? Oh, gotcha.
So we'll be left on a hanger after this next episode for probably
Probably to the end of
6
the year, right?
months to a year. Yeah.
They always do that to us, man. They always give us some good anime and they just take it away. That's why I like One Piece, man. It's year round. Shout out One Piece.
Yeah, you had a couple fans on the interviews I did. So also I went to the Cherry Blossom Festival and mixed opinions. I got a lot of hate for My Hero again. It was kind of
Really?
crazy.
That's crazy for me.
I don't think My Hero is like necessarily one of the greatest, but I don't think it's overrated. But a lot of people do like it, so I kind of see where they're coming from. But I think if we're gonna use the overrated word, I think it has to go. In my opinion, it goes to One Piece. But there's a couple.
Hater.
I went out of my way to find the One Piece fans just for all
The
the
sake of the video.
all the mid piece fans that watch our content. To I'm gonna
He's
give you guys a
lucky
chance
I wasn't there. I was preoccupied, but I would have held it down for the One Piece fans.
because I had one person who was I guess you can say they were turned into a believer. They used to talk the show too, but I guess the person said she gave it a chance and she really enjoyed it.
She realized the holy grail of anime.
But she, on the other hand, she said, I don't know, it was My Hero or Attack on Titan. It was one of those, but then she switched it to Sword Art Online. Trash. Yeah, that's why I was like, ugh.
I'm sorry, look, I appreciate you holding us down on the One Piece side, but you can't hate on One Piece, bro. That's literally the original isekai, bro. And I mean, look, it's first season good, second season with Gun Gale, first half okay, then you have the Elvenheim, a little bit better, and then you start getting to like Alicization, and we pick right back up, right? So, I mean, look, Sword Art is not the best anime in the world, but definitely does not deserve to be trash.
Yeah. Well, she said it was overrated. So, I mean, I get it. But if we're just talking about that first season alone, I think it was kind of the first of its kind. It wasn't the first isekai necessarily, but it was unique in the fact that they're within a virtual reality that basically you die. I don't think anything anime-wise has been like that in my opinion, but that's just me. But yeah, that.
Let me ask you a question. Just side note. Do you think, in your opinion, because we have these conversations a lot, do you think that you're allowed to call something overrated if you haven't watched it?
Not necessarily.
Because that's how I feel. I feel like, when we're talking to people and, they're like, hey, One Piece is overrated. They'll say, My Hero's overrated. or let's say Attack on Titan's overrated, and I'm like, but you haven't watched them.
Well, that's a good question to follow up
Kind
with.
of hard to like that's why I say like Bleach. Not talk about it. I'm just barely getting into the Soul Society arc. Staying quiet about it because I haven't gotten to the good stuff, right? The things that people crave or the fans that are like, yo, this is what we stand by. Attack on Titan. I don't say anything negative about it because I stopped after season 2, right? So until I catch up, I can't. I feel like
You
I'm
can't
not
speak on it.
validated. Yeah,
'Cause
I
you're
can't
not-
speak
you're
on
not
it.
Close to even.
A lot of people
yeah.
are like, oh, One Piece because it's so long, and I'm like, bro, but
Even though
so is the amount of semesters you went to college, but we don't talk about that, bro.
So this is why I say like it's somewhat justified because I felt the same way, and the very things I was talking about is the very reason why I had those stigmas to begin with. So a lot of times stereotypes are based in truth. I'm not saying this is necessarily a stereotype, but it's like a stigma, and I think there's some truth to that because, like, in my opinion, it's way too long. Like, I understand why it's long though, so I don't fault it necessarily, but I also don't give it praise. So I'm not gonna put it on a pedestal for the anime, not the manga, the anime, because of its long goings. And that's one thing I brought up. You know, I asked, oh, this is never mind. I changed that. Overrated, or I don't know if she said overrated, but anyway, she downplayed Naruto, and I was like, I had the conversation. I was like, I like Naruto, and I told her the reason why, but I can also look at the negatives. It's like at the end of the day, we look at what Naruto is. It's almost like a boy love anime. He's been chasing another dude the whole series, right?
Don't be that guy.
Hey
bro.
man, listen, I'm just speaking facts.
He's trying
He
to
is that
save.
guy.
He's trying to save a friend, and in his mind, he can't be that guy unless he saves his one and
Yeah,
only
but I
friend.
can't save one friend. I can't save anybody.
Exactly. That's his
I don't
brother.
believe that
No,
though.
if he can't save his brother, right? They fought together. They, you know what I'm saying? They were
He's fought
team
with a lot of
7.
people. What about Sakura?
Trash
whatever.
Sakura.
I'm not saying she's GOAT, but I'm just saying, what about her?
He saved her on multiple occasions.
He did. I'm just trolling.
She has the best summoning jutsu. She calls that man's name and poof, he's there with 3 giant toads, bro. That's what I'm saying. Is like, yes, people can make the jokes, haha, like he's chasing dude, but at the end of the day, it has meaning. You can't hate on that. It's a representation.
And that's one of the things I brought up. I was like, I
You
understand
educated,
Naruto.
this young lady.
I wouldn't say I necessarily educated. I just gave her my, feedback because I was like, I told her why I personally don't like One Piece. I was like,
Yeah.
it's too much filler or fluff in every episode, and she was like, well, Naruto and Bleach have way more filler, which is, I guess we can say it's true. But
Valid, yeah.
I told her, I was like, would rather have a filler arc than have every episode with 16 minutes of like just dragging on.
That's valid.
in, like,
Naruto
a
did
few
that.
minutes of-
Naruto was year round like One Piece, and they did,
Oh.
I think, regular Naruto after season 5. So they had 6, 7, 8, 9, all filler arcs until they got ready for Shippuden, and then they do another arc. So
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, like, it's been done before. Why One Piece doesn't do it?
I mean, they
genuinely
can do
don't.
it their way. This is my.
No, I'm just
demerit.
saying, like, why they don't do it that same way. I always wonder, because maybe they don't want to copy the same formula as Naruto.
So I
And maybe
got some information. So I had like, shout out to this guy. He had like a Luffy cardigan. He was a reader too, and he gave what he interpreted as the situation. So Oda was, talking about Wano. It's supposed to be really great art. He had a lot of great ideas, but then apparently that was the year when COVID happened. So when he's doing Wano, I don't know if it was on the manga side or when it was getting animated, but he feels like a lot of things happened during that time, and he had to make changes and sacrifices, and that's why we got what we have in the anime form for Wano,
Interesting.
the arc itself. And he says, as a reader, like the next arc is, he says, really on point. But in my opinion, One Piece has been this way forever. If anything, in my opinion, the Wano arc is the best arc thus far when it comes to One Piece. In my opinion, and that's the best moments.
That's
For
what this
me.
guy said. Or you're talking about personally.
I'm talking about me.
Oh, personally. Okay.
He said the next arc is gonna be better. He's a reader, but when it comes to the anime, the Wano arc, in my opinion, is the best arc for One Piece thus far. It has some really, really good moments. Obviously, the animation's better, and the art style, I like it more. And that's
For
what
sure.
that's what the girl had said. A lot of reasons why people don't, like One Piece or give it a chance is because the length, the early light art style, and it's you have the issue where you have a 2-minute intro followed by like a 2-minute
Explanation of where they're
explanation
at.
of the One Piece,
Yeah.
and then you get like 14 minutes of the show, and then it's like over. So that's what made it hard for someone to really dedicate some time to really go through 1,000 episodes. It's a lot.
That's valid, but I feel like, do you think that a lot of it is like younger generations? Because like for us, when I see '90s art style, I kind of get a little hype. Like I get that nostalgia. Like when I start watching Cowboy Bebop again or
100%.
some Samurai Champ, it's like even Dragon Ball Z. You have like the old art style. And I'm like, this is nostalgic. So I get where like new generation. They see One Piece, they see Ranking the Kings.
I don't even think it's necessarily an older art style. While it is like more, it's a more simpler art style. Like it's not a whole lot to it.
Oh yeah, but you
'Cause
gotta
even if you
understand.
compared like Cowboy Bebop to One Piece, there's a lot.
Detail in
There's
the
a lot
drawing.
more detail. It's
Mhm.
like looks visually, it looks older, but it
It's
looks
more
a lot
visually
more.
appealing.
They put a lot more into it. So I think that's one reason. Because I can, if you look at One Piece back then versus now, it's night and day.
I feel the same way with Naruto. Granted,
Even then, I
Naruto
would
was
say
a little
Naruto.
bit better.
Yeah,
Once they got to the Hidden Mist Village or whatever, the bridge thing where he fights Zabuza,
yeah.
that's when it starts like, okay, we're starting to get better. But I mean, and obviously it takes longer with One Piece, but I don't know. There's something about the animation gradually getting better that excites me because it's like, man, we started all the way here in 1999 and then we're still here in 2023 and like I show my wife all the time. I'm like, I showed her episode 1 of One Piece
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, not gonna lie, like it's kind of weird, right? But then I kind of just showed her like when Luffy entered with Kaido and she's like, oh, that's dope. And then just to be able to see the transition of like how far the animation in general has come through the years, not only from like an anime standpoint, but like a technology standpoint.
Yeah, because this is the big three went through the transition
For
from
sure.
standard definition to high def.
Exactly. And
So
for me, like I assume that once I get to the 1,000-Year Blood War on Bleach, I'm gonna be like, oh, like I'm gonna have that same kind of
yeah.
excitement. I'm be like, oh, this is how they started and this is how we got. But I feel like not a lot of people think like that. They just want
it's definitely gonna be
want
better.
new. And I think, as bad as it sounds, I want to say I feel like Demon Slayer ruined that, like the animation.
Of course, because everyone's spoiled. Like you have the top tier,
Exactly.
but
And now it's like every anime is coming out like that, top tier, 23 episodes. And that just wasn't the case back in the day.
yeah, definitely between Demon Slayer and Fate Zero really
Yeah.
like set the bar for what great animation is. But well, I mean, you'll have to check out the video. There's some good points, and I agree with some of what the guy said and what she said. I just gave my counter arguments, and even the guy was like, you know what, I can agree with that. But he kind of spoke to what he thought their process is and where it was. One thing he mentioned too, he was like, what kind of killed it for him is in Naruto, we have a lot of the Obito flashbacks, and I don't have a count on it. I know it happens. I mean, Naruto is definitely flashbacks. I mean, even in OG Naruto, we've seen that man on the swing by himself plenty of times. So
I think I got more screen time than Tenten, bro.
So I know that I just brought it up. I was like, I understand where you're coming with the Obito. Yeah, we've seen it a few times.
Oh, they're like the same scene
Where he gets crushed by the rock, gets mad, Ren dies, and he just goes crazy, right? I don't know it happened more than a handful of times, but I felt like the Otis, and I brought it up. I was like, the Odin scene, him holding. I was like,
I'm a One Piece fan, right? That was terrible.
I want to listen. I don't even remember. I want to say it was at least 6 times. They showed a little bit more every time, but I swear to God, I've seen him holding them for every other episode.
It was like when Goku was doing the damn Spirit Bomb for 25 episodes, bro. Broke a world record.
So
the longest fight in the world.
It was a lot of good conversations amongst that. We had some dope cosplays. I seen someone had this dude, and I followed him on the gram. We interviewed him. He had a Bleach. He was an Ichigo. He had a really nice uniform, cosplay. I mean, and we had a Gon, and he had the hair
all the way up to the.
He had he made like a long trash bag or whatever, and then he had like kind of like a bed inflator, but it was small enough to fit inside there. It was dope.
That's hilarious.
So we
Was he
got
at least like,
yeah, he had the whole fit. I mean, he wasn't jack, but it was good enough to fit Pause the character. Pause. So yeah, shout out to him. That was Graham up for holding it down. He had a nice QR code square.
oh,
So when you get those en route. But yeah, good conversations overall. A lot of questions. Demon Slayer got hate, overrated. My Hero, again, not Attack on Titan. Naruto got it a few times. I was like,
wow.
sheesh.
Goats.
And Sword Art. I was like, ugh, it's kind of tough. But I mean, that's why we're out here and doing these things, asking the questions, because it's
Gotta
good
get
to
these
see.
opinions, bro.
It's good to hear other people where their minds at. I mean, I even got a Chainsaw Man. Overrated.
Chainsaw Man's a little bit different. Only because of the hype surrounding it before it came out. So I can see how someone was underwhelmed.
I mean, that's why it could be justified, though.
But as far to go overrated, I don't. What do you think?
I think I'm in the same boat with you. I don't think it's necessarily overrated. I said it's a solid anime. And then I said the same thing you just mentioned. It's like we both kind of agree. There was a lot of hype.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't meet the hype, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Had we gone in it the same way we started, like Nier Automata, like don't know nothing, and we probably would have graded it higher, in my opinion, and it would have been better. But
Since we had expectations, and
yeah. The
kinda
expectations can kill a simple man.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. That's the first time I've heard. Like typically when we go to these things, Naruto's top of the list of like their favorite. Attack on Titan, I've seen top of the list. Sword Art, I may have heard once overrated, but
and it was kind of
obviously One Piece is controversial, so that's not always. I think there won't be many places we go that there isn't a for One Piece and not for One Piece or vice versa. There's always gonna be controversy, but it will take that. That's cool, but y'all can't be hating on Naruto, bro. I can't be hating on Bleach.
And I think you kind of mentioned it too. I didn't ask their age, but some of the ones who didn't like Naruto seemed like they're a little bit younger. So it could be just that. But I mean, I don't know, man. I think you'd have to be super young to like not like Naruto, because it's still very appealing to this day.
It finished in like 2015, 2016. So it's not like it's terribly old. Like it finished like 5-6 years ago. One of the things that I want to say it was on TikTok, or one of the first TikToks we did. Someone was like, "You need to do a like weeaboo or weeb versus old taku." So like back in the day when we were growing up, the phrase was like otaku, like, "Oh, I'm an otaku. I watch anime," whatever the case may be. But then because we're like in our 30s, they're like we're referred to as like old taku. And the weebs or the weeboos are like
the younger
generation. So they were like, maybe you should start kind of comparing and contrasting, because to your point, it could be a generational thing where like I feel like you and I are kind of stuck in the middle of like, we grew up with this old anime and we grew up with like classics. We're also old enough, we're young enough to like enjoy
the new
what's happening now. We're not 40, 50, 60. We're kind of stuck in the middle where we can appreciate both, and then the younger generation is like, oh, all we know is Demon Slayer, all we know is, because someone told me at one of the, I think Animeverse, someone was like, yeah, Attack on Titan is my favorite because I've been watching it since I was like 13. And I was like, bro, I was already like, we were drinking beer at your house watching the first season. I was like, and that just put in perspective of like, you don't really think about your age, but I was like, bro, we were like 22, you were in your apartment, you're like, I'm about to put you on. This anime just came out, and these kids are talking about 13 years old, and I'm like, so then when I thought about it, I was like, damn, Attack on Titan really did come out. What was it, like 5-6 years ago, correct?
Maybe a little bit longer, because I was in an apartment in 2017, and then at that point, that was like season 2 and 3, or I think I have already came out. But it was a long break after season 1. It was like 2 years, I want to say. So
we're like, I'm like 13, where I was like, bro, that was 21, 22.
Yeah, it makes
we're
you
kicking
feel
it
old.
at the crib after work. So that's really crazy. And I do feel like we're kind of stuck in between two generations where, we're not 40, so we weren't, like, to me, Dragon Ball Z, I want to say, so I was born in 94. Dragon Ball Z came out in '99, but they did the reruns like 2004, 2005. So I don't know, man. It's kind of weird to think about like the generational difference. So I would be curious to see if you were down to do something like where we do
We just
the
have
old
to-
and the new and the.
We just would have to find the right person. I think it'd be more beneficial for us to find a younger person to talk to,
Mhm.
because I feel like a lot of times when you get someone older than us that watch anime, a lot of times the few conversations I have had with older people who watch anime,
Mhm.
they're locked into the old stuff. They always bring up the old, like it's the golden years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everyone has their years where shit was
In my
popping. You know what I'm
day.
saying? So I think it'll be a little bit difficult to find someone who's even giving the newer stuff a chance to like
That's
speak on
true.
it.
And yeah, they'd probably be around our age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's why we'd be better off talking to a younger group.
We'd
'Cause
be
I'll give you one. I talked to one at the Cherry Blossom Fest. Can't believe what he said was overrated.
what he said was overrated.
He's Hispanic too. That should give it away.
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z.
He said Dragon Ball Z was overrated.
He said Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball. I was like, whoa. And I asked him. I said, you know, how do your friends? At first, I asked if he was Hispanic. I didn't want to assume he was a little bit light skinned. And I was like, all right, I don't know about if you're Mexican either, but like in Mexico, that's number one. He was like, yeah, I know. I was like, so what do you tell your friends? How your friends feel about that? He's like, I haven't told them. I was like, all right. So when they see this, you're gonna have to
gotta
explain yourself.
understand, if you're Mexican and you watch anime, Dragon Ball Z is like,
Your father.
yeah, it's like not to be blasphemous, right? I'm Christian, but like that's like second Jesus to them. Like they love Dragon Ball Z in Spanish dub. Like that is king over there.
Mm-hmm.
So to find that overrated is
Yeah, that's
it's
not.
surprising. 'cause,
I was like,
I've
that's
only been to
tough.
Mexico maybe like 3 times, and I used to go when I was a kid, like 4 or 5 months at a time. That's all I watched.
But see, and I think that's what kind of conversations we might have because he was younger. He was no way he was older than 18. He was definitely.
Oh, that makes
He has
sense.
to be like, I want to say at least 16 down, and I think that's kind of the conversations we're gonna get. I'm not gonna say he might be an outlier to be honest, because I don't know how many Hispanics, especially Mexicans, they're gonna say Dragon Ball Z is overrated.
Mexicanos love Dragon Ball Z, bro.
He kind of mentioned some of the things though, and this is why what we just talked about could be something to really look into because he's speaking on things that aren't as current. So when he said, I asked him why, is because the fights are too long and there's like a lot of dry. So when you look at it compared, like if he's watching something like Demon Slayer, there might be some dry time, but it's not stretched out. It's gonna be like boom, boom. Everything's gonna
episodes are
kind of
good,
mean
yeah.
something. Versus Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z back then, it was let me hold this spirit bomb. Is Goku gonna escape the hyperbolic time chamber in time, or the little when he's regenerating in the little tube? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, that's valid.
that's it's a good thing to look forward to and having a conversation on.
It does go back to your point about being spoiled though, because it's like when we think about when you were 9, we didn't have no internet, bro.
Yeah.
We didn't have a DVR to fast forward.
Mhm.
If we had to waste 3 weeks for this man to, which it did, it was like 7 episodes. And now it's like you can just get on the internet and
Yeah, you can just
binge whatever you want.
instant-
And like to your point, hey man, you can fast forward the first 4 minutes and then fast forward the last 3 minutes, and it's just like you're just going and going and going, and it's like, man, we didn't have the luxury for that as old as we sound. But in my mind, I'm like, damn, bro, I'm not even 30, and like I feel like I'm in 2 generations away
Yeah.
from a lot of the new anime. But I guess a lot of that has to do with technology, maybe like virtual. Like I was watching Revenger on the way here. I wasn't watching it, driving it, but like like when I came in and I was walking in, we were setting up. So it's like, man, like that really advances the young age where they're like, in my opinion, spoiled.
Of
Like,
course.
we want 23 episodes jam packed, and I'm like, you don't want year-round anime? You wouldn't rather? And
We're
I
just
guess
in
9 out of 10 would be no.
We're in
so
it.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, we're in an attention economy, so it's like if you don't grab their attention, fairly fast, you're not gonna hold it. So a lot of that has to do, like you mentioned, with technology. So their viewpoints are gonna be a little bit different. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious to see what people are gonna say on his statement, because we're definitely throwing that on the TikTok, because yeah, that's gonna be a spicy one for
Yeah,
sure.
I want my Mexicanos to. I want to know how y'all feel about that, 'cause that's crazy to me.
'Cause I was like, did you watch it in I even asked, did you watch it in dub Spanish? He was like, no. I was like, That's like, number one over
That
there.
is number one. It's not bad.
And I asked him if he had watched Chainsaw Man. He was like, no. I said, you should. If you do watch it, just try watching it in dub. So I heard it's really good.
Side note, speaking about Spanish dub, I was on TikTok and I saw a video where the voice actor for Tanjiro and Demon Slayer,
Hmm.
the Japanese voice actor, he met up at some event. I don't know what it is. Maybe people in the comments can let me know what that was. But and then the Mexican voice actor, they got together and they like gave him like a little script and they had him like read it, and it was pretty dope. Like the Spanish voice actor like did his thing, and but then obviously like OG Japanese Tanjiro like did his line, and I was like, that was perfect and beautiful. But
They did it like in the same room.
it was like a stage, and they were outside, and
Mhm.
there's a bunch of fans, and
They all just basically read some lines. Or
yeah, so
something.
they had the microphone. They're like, all right, we're gonna do a Spanish Tanjiro. So he did that line, and then the Japanese did the exact same line
In Japanese.
in Japanese, and it was really cool. But like, and you could tell the Japanese voice actor, he thought that like the Spanish did really good, and the Spanish was like, yo, you the OG, and it was really cool. But it got me thinking. I was like, man, I might have to watch
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer in Spanish, because that voice actor wasn't bad. And like, to be fair, like a lot of people might like anime in Spanish, but in actuality, because of the way that we speak, in like the voice fluctuations and the way you have to put like emotion behind, it can sound bad.
Yeah.
That's why when we were watching those Chainsaw Man clips, it actually sounded pretty good. When they were funny, it felt intentional. When they were serious, it felt serious.
It
you
was
know?
just right in the right
Yeah,
place.
because like Spanish, that's why they watch like they do novelas. It's very embellished because the way we speak is very like embellishment almost. So that I was like, that's pretty badass, bro. So
Yeah.
it makes me want to watch that.
all I could think of when you're saying embellishments is like those Mexican TV shows. Like they could be over dramatic. Someone gets
the
stuck.
novelas. They'll be like, and that's how I feel like the majority of like Spanish anime is just over embellished.
They're doing like the
Over, like,
reality TV for anime.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's nice to see that it's getting almost revamped and it's refreshing. So I might give that a try and let y'all know how that goes, because that was pretty cool.
I will say one thing though. I don't think that'll be a huge phenomena to have a sub actor versus whatever dub actor, because that's a huge ego thing. A lot of people don't want I'll say this, and obviously I'm not speaking for them. They'll speak for themselves. I feel like a lot of them will be, unless you're like one of the goats for dub. I think that's kind of overwhelming to be put against your Japanese counterpart, because like most people, I'm not gonna say most, a lot of people prefer sub, and I'm gonna rack up all. I'm just gonna clip all the sub versus dub for each con to kind of give us numbers. But if you think about it, unless your name is like Sean Schindler or something,
Yeah.
you're gonna be hard to go against your Japanese VA, and like I kind of think
It is
about how
hard.
embarrassing that could be. Like you do your lines, they're like, oh, then you hear Japanese and they go
like,
crazy.
Whoa, they're just
Yeah.
wilding, yeah.
That's
They
kind
did
of.
that, and they were in Mexico. That was pretty crazy.
Oh, they did it in Mexico.
They were-
Okay.
it was in Mexico with Mexicans, and
So, would you say the Japanese
it was
VA
like a,
won?
It was like I would say a 55-45. The
And-
55 went to the Japanese, and the 40
So-
because they showed out, for the Hispanic. But when he went in the Japanese, that was, hey man, you know.
and think about that. I mean, he's probably a good sport, but like I don't think everyone can handle that. You know what I'm saying? Especially you're in your home, home
Yeah,
country.
your home country.
He's like,
yeah.
man, I'm not.
He's like, they better show out for me, bro. If I'm about to go up against this guy in my own country.
Yeah, so I think it just depends on the person you're talking to, because for me personally, like I represent a brand, and I wouldn't necessarily feel bad in a way of another brand were to like
kinda
show
like-
me up, because at the end of the day it's like, okay, am I getting paid still? And that's how I look at it.
Right. So I posted that video on TikTok of when we went to Animeverse
Mhm.
Fest. So I obviously, because I clipped all of the is it subs or dubs,
Mhm.
kind of added it. So in that video, I think it was like 12 subs and like 3 or 4 dubs. But when I actually put a poll in there, out of 167 votes, this is so far. And what I'm really loving about this is every time we do this, the amount of votes is going up.
Mm-hmm.
So every time we do a con, I don't know if like we're just reaching more people or whatever. So last time I think it was like out of 80 votes. So we pretty much doubled in a video. 86 people said that they were for subs. 81 people said they're for dubs. So it's crazy that like it's literally a 51%, 49% break.
Close.
I honestly thought that if sub was gonna win, in my opinion, I thought it was gonna be more like a 60-40 split. But for it to be that close, I'm like, I don't know.
I have
like-
mixed opinions because when we first started this podcast, it was dub heavy. And I felt like that, it could be a lot of things. Could be algorithm, whatever, that we're just not getting to those, Japanese watchers or those type of anime viewers, And I would
slowly kind of starting to even out now, right?
I think we're just, like you said, we're reaching a broader audience. And I think at the end of the day, man, most people are going to, and a lot of people, when I ask the question, why? Or, a lot of people say the same things,
Didn't you have a guy on so the video for Saturday? Didn't you have a guy who said that he preferred dub and then he wanted to scratch that and say sub at the end?
I'm not gonna out him, man, for his
I
reasons.
don't know who it was. I just remember that being part of the story, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
he was.
yo, look, my thing is like, we're going back to the negative connotation. Excuse me. I think that there's such a negative connotation on dub that if you put a camera in my face and you're like, depending on where you're at, you're like, hey, you a Crip or you a Blood? You're just like, whoa. Now that these guys are wearing all blue, I'm like, I feel pressure to say, hey man, my favorite color is blue. But when you're on the internet, you don't have that pressure. Like, you could be a keyboard warrior. Hey, nobody's gonna know what I vote for. Boom, dub, right? You're being able to be more honest. But if you have people that are already at a con changing their answers, what makes you think that they're not
Disingenuous.
Yes,
So
exactly.
Here's
Nice
the
college word, bro.
I'll give you the I'll
been
give
sick
you
for like 2
the
weeks.
background on why he changed his answer. So this person was watching me interview another person that claimed dub. And this person did not want to be associated in that dub group after seeing that person talk and everything. He was like, this is my peers. I'm pushing start, change teams. So when I interviewed him, he had said sub, and I thought about it. I was like, I was gonna press him on it, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let him answer.
You know what's funny is like, so you told me the story, and then I was watching the video. I was like, who is he talking about? And then I see it's like very slight, like the way that
Hesitation?
your body language changed and the way you side-eyed. It was a quick second. I don't think anybody else would have noticed, but I was like, that's the one right there. That is
So
the one.
that is the background on that person's particular reason for me knowing he switched his answer. But I think a lot of people, stand on their toes. I mean, I get it, but like they don't even know what our
thing I
preference
didn't like about last weekend, right?
Yeah.
One thing I didn't like about last weekend. So when you were interviewing on Saturday,
Mhm.
you were pressing people, and I was like, see, he's just trying to. You're like, oh, if you don't know an overrated anime, you could just say One Piece.
Oh,
Just say one. And I was
I'm-
like, this guy just trying to. Hey, it's One Piece, right? And I was like, man, this guy ain't even letting them think for themselves.
Hey, a lot of times they don't want to say it. And a lot of times, there's a couple of them that we spoke to, and I think the girl you spoke to, the Nezuko, she wanted to say it, but then she thought about it. It's like, I don't want to talk about it because I haven't
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But she ended up saying the reason why, the episodes, the length, and all that. So,
Negative
man, that's just-
connotations, man.
take the good with the bad, you know what I'm saying?
Negative connotations.
But yeah, man, I think the more, and in these interviews, I ask more ongoing. I don't know, that's not the right
More
word.
conversational questions.
Not necessarily conversational, more lead-on questions, I guess you could say. Once they answered a specific show, I'll ask why, then give comparisons. So, getting better. And then we, again, like one thing we're looking to do is switch up our questions. I think these underlying questions kind of open up that person. Then we can follow up with
kinda
any
gets them more
different.
comfortable.
Yeah.
But my only issue with like the conversational questions is like what I feel like when we've done that a couple of times, it ended up just going off topic, and that's what I don't want. I want these interviews to be like.
That's the power of editing.
Well, I mean,
We
no, I
choose
get
what
it.
makes it.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying, like, say an argument. If I'm like, hey, why is One Piece this? And they start talking about something totally different, then I'm like, I just wasted a whole interview. Can't even put this on there because you didn't give me an actual reason. And that's why I'm like, that's why I like the fun questions. But I mean,
You just gotta take hold and
take
like
the good and the bad.
not even that. You just gotta take over the interview. Like, all right, look, I hear what you're saying, but I don't feel you're addressing my
true.
point. And
That's
just,
true.
'cause sometimes a lot of people are bad at expressing themselves.
That's true.
Because how many times have you had to like here's the thing, a lot of people have not been put to the fire where you have a standpoint, I'm going to press you, now you have to defend it. This is not just, oh, I think it is. You have to give me valid reason why. So that when I talk to you about One Piece, right, why I think it's not as good as it is, in my opinion, I'm giving you reasons, right? Whether you agree with them or not is one thing. These are, for the most part, valid reasons, or at least we can have a conversation. You can give me some feedback, but it's not me just blatantly saying, because this person said it, or because I feel this way, it's this. No, it's like, I've watched it. These are the reasons why I don't think it can be considered this. So
what if you're using the definition though?
Definition of what?
Like say like a chair's fracture.
Oh man, shout out to young Marcus, man. Wherever this reaches you, you know what? I'm gonna clip this and I'm gonna send it to you. And
the kid, bro.
Hopefully you Meth the second. Shout out to you, man. Hopefully you're doing well, and we're just trying to talk to you and catch up, man. But yeah, I think again, a lot of people aren't ever put in these situations where they have to defend anything or stand on anything. And I
just kind of almost like caught off guard. You're just like, whoa, and then you're just kind of like,
well, a lot of people just haven't been pressed in their life. They live life.
That's true.
They told things. They're not a lot of people are willing to stand on their beliefs or be able to back up their beliefs. They just think one way and then they're not willing to have a conversation because either A, it's uncomfortable, or two, they never thought about it in the first place. So that's why I think we get sometimes we have interviews and they're kind of confused.
Talk about the controversy that we're about to start having when we go that route. It's like we're going to an English dub con.
First of all,
subs over those shirts, and then we're just going around pressing people.
I don't think we're going to a dub con. They're just cons. They just happen to be dub actors there.
Well, I mean, is it easier for you to get an actor from Ohio to go to Texas or from Japan? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why they all go to Cali and New York, because it's on the coast.
It's easy.
They're not gonna really fly like. And another thing, we don't, unfortunately, like Texas, I don't think we have a big enough con to justify them coming over. The only one we have is Anime Matsuri, I believe. Maybe the other one, the Comic Con, maybe
Comic Palooza,
yeah, one of those.
I think those are both at the George R. Brown.
Yeah, I've never looked. So like until we've done this, I've never cared to go see a. I mean, even now, like I talk to the VAs we talk to, but it's never been, oh, I need to go meet this person, because I've never been a huge on dub acting. Excuse me. To begin with. So I think that's just, I don't know. I think we're just, unfortunately, Texas hasn't grown enough when it comes to anime to justify having one of them make the extra. I mean, they're already on like a 30-hour flight. And then to spend it's probably about, I want to say at least 5 hours to get to the coast. Maybe less than that. Maybe I'm gonna say 4, because it took me about 3.5 hours to get to Las Vegas. So probably about another hour. So about under 5 hours. So 30 plus an additional 5 to go to, you know what I'm saying?
That's valid.
We don't have as much. Texas is a huge place.
Though is this, like, I don't know if you've noticed it, but just in the last 2 or 3 years, we're having way more little cons and fests. And,
yeah, that's one thing I thought about too. When
we were talking and we're like, yeah, we'll make it a habit to go once a month, and it's like, and we're going every weekend because there's just so much going on, and we want to be a part of as much as we can.
Because you got to think about it. Remember, even Animeverse, that was their second, I believe. This is our third.
Their second.
So, like, I think it's just anime, especially with COVID. A lot of people were at home. It introduced a lot more people, and then it's just been growing in general. Because, like, where we came from, if you watch anime back then, you're a nerd, you're weird, you're just different. Now it's socially acceptable. If you watch Naruto, like, it's a cool thing now. Back then, you were looked like, what are you watching? Why are you watching cartoons? If it's not Dragon Ball Z, I don't know what you're doing.
Facts.
So it's anime in general is just exploding.
Just changing now. So
it's just more mainstream at the end of the day. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think it's good because you get more people involved, more money should lead to better quality shows. So I think it's just a net positive. I mean, look at us. We're able to now.
I don't know, man. It's not positive for my bank account. I'm broke. Well, we've gone to like 4 cons and like 3 and like, what is it? 4 cons and like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and I'm like, I'm gonna need a raise.
Nah, it's definitely been longer than that because
so we went to
Waifu Fest was in New Year's, essentially.
It was in January.
I mean, it was the 30th.
Starting February, it's been popping off because then we had Houston's Anime Fest.
Yeah. It was like a 3-week break though after that.
2-week break. Because then 2 weeks later, we did the March. It was February 24th, 25th. 2 weeks later, we had something. I know we had something like the first week of March.
I'm pretty sure the first one we went to was
Oh, no, yeah,
Houston
the
Anime.
24th. 24th was the Houston's Anime. And then the March 10th was when we went to Anime Verse. The 17th, this past weekend, you went to Cherry Blossom Festival.
Mhm.
And then I'm sure there's something March. Like, I'm almost positive there's something March 24th. I just don't think we put it on our calendar yet. So it's like, and it could be like we're spring break, and then we got summer and things like that.
Mhm.
But I need a raise, boss. If you watching this, I need a raise.
So the boss ain't even getting paid yet, so. But nah, I think in general, like it's been fun so far. It's a lot of like things I've gone through, whether it goes to video editing to us being, asking people questions. I've gotten a lot more comfortable. It wasn't. I think after the first time I did the in-person interviews, it's just talking to people. The biggest thing I try to think about is people's time. I make sure to look at their body language. Are they doing anything? Are they like actively shopping? I don't want to be a hindrance. You know what I'm saying? So, but we're getting to a point. Like I had a couple people walk up to me and like, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" Because and a lot of times they just want to be a part of something, which is cool. We kind of give each other something. Not we're getting content. They're getting a potential spotlight. So I think overall
it's getting good though. Like I feel like especially being in front of the camera, like we're both getting one more comfortable, and two, like we're starting to see flashes of like the community growing for us.
Yeah.
So it's like when we're at Anime Fest, we're interviewing, and then those two girls are like wanting an interview. Fortunately, we didn't get to interview them because then the panel started. They were like right there, like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And then when we were interviewing the guys in the line for when I had to get my Funko Pop, he was turning back. He wanted to interview bad.
Which one? The one in front of the zoo?
Yeah.
I asked him when you left.
I think he got nervous. He got like real shy.
He was definitely nervous.
I'm like, man, I'm really starting to like it. And what I like is that the people that we are almost catering to, we're giving them a voice and a platform. And I really like that. So no matter how outlandish your opinion might be, or how isolated you may feel like in your opinions, or how your life is, like, yo,
someone might fall in line with that, man. So I mean, you might have a bigger community than you think, and then we'll just kind of be, hopefully down in the future, just be like a gateway to like,
for sure,
let's talk anime. Like I need to look at this. I don't know if there's any like Houston anime podcasts. I'm gonna do a YouTube search later on. I know we have Facebook groups for it, and I should put us in there. Just that'll probably help us tremendously, honestly.
For sure.
Just like being like, hey guys, we talk about anime in Houston, because there's a lot of people in Houston.
What I really like is like you really don't know, and it could just be a stigma, but you do have those people who watch anime that are very like closed off, introverted, and bro, come talk to us, bro. This is a great way for us to like, one, put you in a little bit of spotlight, hear your ideas, right? Especially if you don't feel heard or you just want somebody to talk to, and two, like he said, we have so many people. We don't have a crazy fan base, and like, like we get a solid 5, 6, 7, 800 views on TikTok. Comment, people are, debating, talking. It's the same way as like playing video games. You can play Modern Warfare 2 and be like, man, I really enjoy being in a chat with this guy. I got a bunch of friend requests doing that. And it's just about building the community. And to your point, like, we're just here to be that gateway. We're here to be like the referees. Like, we want y'all to be in these comments. We want y'all to be watching. We want y'all to be participating. We want y'all to be like, hey, I have maybe an idea for you guys, something that I think or I believe other people may be interested in, right? It's not like one of those things where, you have like people who do podcasts and they're like, hey, we're just gonna drop content, whatever we say goes, this is our thing. And it's like, no, like, you got an idea. I have a bunch of friends that are like, you should do this or this or this, and I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out how to make it work. And it's supposed to be fun and interactive. We're not just here to do this every week, talk for an hour, go to these cons and like not interact with people, right? Like, that's not what we're about. So y'all see us in the road, on the streets, like, holla at us, talk to us. We spent 2 hours waiting in line just talking to 3, 4 people about.
Shout out to Arturo and Romeo. I remember the names now. See,
there you go. Shout out.
Hopefully y'all following us, and hopefully y'all see this.
Yeah, like we sat there and we gave opinions. We talked for an hour and a half. we're doing this because we love it, right? It's not like a job to us where we're like, man, we're trying to make it big and we don't care about it. It's like, yo, we're here to talk to the people who, one, we want to talk to people who can break our ties, because a lot of times we have differences in opinions, and you guys being able to like, nope, Rebel's right or nope, Vision's right, kind of that validation for us. It's all fun and all love, and we do it because we really love it. We wouldn't put the time, the resources, the finances, we're paying $40 a weekend for every little con we're going to. Like, we do it because we love it, whether you're a dub watcher, sub watcher, whether you're a English VA, Japanese VA, or Spanish dubs, whatever. Like, we're just in it for the community, and our shirts may be misleading, our title might be misleading, but
I don't know about misleading.
It's all respect out here, at least on my side.
Listen, the only thing I gotta say, if you guys want to talk, let's talk, but just be prepared to defend your stances.
That's valid.
Don't be.
This man will press you, man.
Hey, man, listen, I don't know everything, but I know what I know.
Well, I mean, like, but there's nothing wrong with, like, I guess, having debates. I think my only thing is, when someone goes to like a con, they're looking for casual, and when we start going with like those kind of questions that are tough, they're like, I'm not having fun anymore,
I feel like our questions are very casual.
No. Well, going back to like you wanting to like kind of get into deeper conversation with the questions, that's my only issue. Is like, I'm thinking like, now that I've been like pondering, I'm like, what if they're like, yeah, these guys they just go around cons and pressing people,
But
and it's like, we want to be a part of the community, not.
I don't personally think I press. The only time I think I ask lead on questions, like today, people who said One Piece was their favorite, why?
Yeah, for sure.
People who said One Piece they didn't like, it was overrated, why?
Why? Yeah.
I generally ask, even in like the other ones, Naruto, why? I think it's just us being able to explore the reasons why. It's just gonna provide more content, more detail, and then hopefully we get other people's views. We might not see the way, like the guy I talked to who reads the manga for One Piece, and he gave me a lot of information. So I asked him one of the questions, and this is kind of a new question I've been asking. What anime has the best black representation in your opinion?
I like
and
that.
he started with Bleach, but he was like, but to be honest, this is me personally. I think it's a little biased because One Piece is his favorite, but he said One Piece. He said the Fishman art, a lot of their traits and like just a lot of
goes back to like slavery, right?
Well, I didn't even think about that part, but just like it has a lot of black roots. So
because of like they do like segregation, they're not allowed up. Yeah, I mean, but that's not, in my opinion, black representation for me is important in a way of like, One Piece to me tells a story that's already been told. What we're looking for in black representation, and not we, like obviously I'm not black, I'm Hispanic, but we
as in him.
Well, what I mean is like we, as a community, like as a minority community, we want excellence, right? So like when Hispanics are represented, we want excellence. We don't want representation in a way it's like, oh yeah, I was watching this movie and they had this Mexican guy as a lawnmower, like he was mowing the lawns. That's not representation. To me, the reason why Bleach is better, of the clips that I have seen, is like they put black characters in excellent situations, right? Like they're super powered, they're strong,
they're not just
they
side
save
characters.
the day. They're not just side characters, Like Dragon Ball Z.
That's not what I thought
Dragon
about
Ball
too.
Z's got the best representation, man. Shout out Piccolo.
That's
The
racist.
black community
That's racist.
knows Piccolo is black.
He said Dr.
Yeah,
Popo. I don't know if y'all heard that.
I'll challenge anybody in the comments. Everyone that I know that's like all my black homies that watch anime, they're like, oh yeah, Piccolo's black.
You want to hear some semi-racist?
All right, go ahead, man.
A lot of people would disagree with the point that Piccolo's black. You want to know why?
Why?
He stayed for someone's kid.
But he didn't say for his, and that's the important part.
That's what I'm saying. I did not stand for the.
How many? That's valid. That's valid.
But hey,
So if anyone's not black, if anyone's black, is Goku, right? That man dipped that on his kid.
Hey man, he said the grind don't stop. Man, I gotta get to these streets.
He did say that.
But I asked that question a lot, and to my surprise, a lot of people said Bleach, and I'm just curious because I feel like that is. But
the problem is I don't feel like there's a lot of anime that
there isn't
have black representation at all.
There was one that was brought up to my attention. I forgot all about, but I feel like it's more Hispanic, but she could be black too. I forgot what the show is called, but essentially it's you may have seen a clip of it. It's a younger lady. She looks like she's Latina, but she could be passed as black too. It's an older woman and a younger kid, and she like I don't know. She drives on a motorcycle a lot, and like their lives kind of cross, and she's like help raising her, but they're both growing. But I forgot what the show's called. But anyways, another a good example of something that I may have missed that was giving me a different viewpoint and just making me think, oh, you know what, you're right. It's not. Then this is like a slice of life anime, but at the end of the day, it does have black representation. That's kind of controversial because I feel like they're Hispanic, but you know, either or. If it didn't, you know, it would be another good one.
As far as like for you, because obviously you're what, quarter? One
I
third?
mean, I don't know what them. I haven't done my ancestry, but
Well,
I
he's part black. All right, so Reese is part black. Vision, oops, my fault. Vision's part black. So for you, when you're looking for black representation, like, are you looking for them to be in normalcy? Like, I just want a black character who's dope. And because like there are animes and like even cartoons and things like that, which I think bother me. And I'm not like one of those cancel culture people. I'm not one of those I get mad at everything. But I think at some point it gets annoying. Where like Mr. Popo and Dragon Ball, like the big lips and like it's like, are you looking for is just a regular black dude and he's cool, or are you looking for him to be put on a pedestal, or are you looking for?
I'm just looking for like at the end of the day, like when you look at animes, right? I wouldn't necessarily, even for me, like if you wanted to take it there, yeah, you could say Popo might be the black person or Piccolo. That'd be kind of a close thing to black people. Yeah. I don't even think Piccolo is really a black person. You know, that's just my opinion. He's wearing a turban. You know, I know he's black, basically black face with lips, but I don't think that's the case. But I'm just looking for, you know, a dope character that's not just a side character, you know, and where basically you can look at the character. It's like, okay, would you consider them black? One, and then two, what do they have an integral role to the show? And then like, how are they perceived in the show? You know, are they just some bum, or they have some roots? And like another one that was brought to my attention, Naruto. I forgot, you know, Killer Bee and all them. Like essentially, I would assume they're majority are black.
Yeah. Right? Apparently, I think the thing is everyone in the hidden cloud is black. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I like that.
So and like that's
Killer
a good
Bee
angle.
was dope. And the Raikage.
They have dope characters. Yeah. Even though, you know, the other characters, they're not just pushovers. Like that's all I'm looking for. And I think Bleach, in my opinion, done it the best. Because like, even though the Raikage and Killer Bee's pretty important to Naruto, but I feel like in Bleach you have Yoruichi. I don't know if I said her name right. I think she's just, well, first of all, she's bad. First of all, let's start there. The God of Thunder, but two, like it's an important character to the show. So
that's valid. One thing that I was thinking about while you were talking was in Fire Force they have a character by the name.
Yeah, season 2. I remember.
Yeah, Ogun or something like that.
I know who you're talking about. So he's like got the half shaved cornrows.
When I was thinking about that, I was like, he's dope. Like, I think one of the things that I like about him the most is like, he is like a side character, but one of the things that they talk about for him was they're like, man, his power is so special that like, I think he does it only momentarily for like 5 minutes. They're like, but in that 5 minutes, bro, he's just as strong as the Division 1 captain, which is cool because then at that point it's like they made him chill. They made him like in the mix, but they're not like, hey, he's that black guy, like the token of it. And then they gave him such a power up where it's like, yo, he's badass. Like in some cases, you could be like, he's even stronger than the main character in those 5 minutes. So that's what I think is like really cool, is like when you have characters like that.
They're
like,
at least giving them shine.
Yeah, like I don't want them to be like forefront, right? Or they don't have to be like just they could just be in the mix, like hey, one of the homies, and you know, they're not getting washed.
And that's one of the topics they brought up was like the guy in I don't know if it was you were in this conversation, but anyways, the one in my hero. He can do something with objects. I don't know if it's telekinesis necessarily, but he is the black dude that. So remember when they were gonna invade Shigaraki's thing? They're at a table. There's a black dude with like he has like the mask on, like a superhero. Anyway, he kind of looks like Static Shock, but anyway, he's just like he's just on there to be on there. He ain't really about nothing. But I think again, this is why I think Bleach does it so well, because you have so many different, I guess you could say, backgrounds, and they all play really well. Like the Hispanic on Bleach is like the music, style. You know, they got you got I don't know what to call it, just skull faces and stuff. It just matches very well.
like
The names, it's called the I forgot what the goddamn name of their place is called, but it's Hispanic. I don't know how to say it, but yeah. And even this, like, again, just talking to random people out in these not conventions. This is a festival. Guy mentioned we talked about it. I haven't watched it. I don't think you'll watch it. The Kuroko no Basketball. The funny thing about it is, like, so the show is in Japan. When they go over to the U.S., they play the black people and they get destroyed. So yeah, he was just
That's
like,
valid.
I was like, that's on par. So at least they're like,
Shout out the NBA, yo.
shout out the NBA. So being truthers out there, but yeah, man.
So let me ask you a secondary set of questions, right? So being part black, being part Asian, this is a two-part question.
What about the Mexican?
Oh, you are Hispanic too, but it leans more. Oh, yeah, it could. You can do black/Mexican and then your Asian side. So, one, do you think that representation in a Japanese anime is important?
I don't think it's necessarily important because, like, we can't tell another culture how to, dictate what's acceptable. And this is your art. This is for your people. But it does kind of suck when you see, you don't get to see representations of other cultures. And if you do, they're like I said, they're trash. They're mob characters. They're just there. So it's like,
if you're gonna do it, at least
do it
respectfully.
somewhat respectfully. Like, don't just, don't leave us thinking is Mr. Popo black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bring that author any type of negative views, but like, understand why the community feels the way they do, but I'm not on the same page. Like, he was intentionally trying to do that, But that's why I'm saying, if you're gonna even kind of go in that direction for any other show, not talking about Dragon Ball at this point, put a little effort in. Like, Hunter x Hunter, there's a few black people, but like one's like Akila's like friend. She was a dope character. Hairstyle, like everything was on point. She wasn't like out of place, but I don't think it's on Japanese authors, creators to make sure they are inclusive of black people. No, but it is a plus when you do. That's how I look at it.
I feel like, especially as it's getting popular and it's becoming more worldwide.
Yeah, you want to appeal to the masses. You know what I'm saying?
One thing that bothers me though is like, if you can, when people say like, "Oh, this is Japanese," right? So like they don't have to have black or Hispanics. But I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of animes that like straight up the main character looks white.
Yeah,
like blonde hair. So I'm just
hair,
like,
blue eyes.
I'm like, but why?
The reason why
even in Japan,
the reason why, and this is just like the Asians in general, they're favorable to white people. So that's just in general. So when
the white man.
So when you have a lot of lead characters, they got the the blonde hair, the blue eyes, or blonde hair in general. Like Asians don't. I don't know this like 100%, but I don't think naturally Asians don't go past like red as far as, I guess, they're the lightest hairstyle. I don't think there's any naturally blonde Asians. But I think a lot of Asian people in general just like that type of aesthetic. Like, it's the most visually appealing to Asian people, I want to say, because that's the only logical thing. Like you mentioned, there's tons of blonde hair, blue-eyed girls, lead characters. I mean, Full Metal Alchemist. I don't even think they try to intentionally show him as white. I think he's Asian. I think he's actually like of white descent. They're not trying to hide it there. But again, just to kind of sum this all up, me being biracial or multiracial or racial, multi-ethnic person.
Man's got a little bit of everything in there, bro.
I don't see. For me personally, it's not a problem. Because at the end of the day, this is Japanese culture. That's like me saying, like, I want people in the rap industry to respect, I want to start speaking or just rapping about Asian stuff. Like, that'd be kind of silly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you're in their space.
That's exactly. I feel like that's the same way it should be approached. Now, when you do have someone come into the space or they talk about it, at least do it in, the right
manner,
the right way. You know what I'm
right?
saying? Yeah. But it's kind of hard to do with rap in general. I mean, you can take that a lot of ways. Like, there's tons of disrespectful stuff in rap, so it's a little bit harder to kind of, give it a one-to-one analogy. But I think that's how I would look at it in general.
That's valid. I think I think you're correct, but I still feel like I see people angry about that. Like,
of course,
you know,
I mean, people.
and it's like at the end of the day, you have to go based off your own culture, right? So like a lot of what I really like about, and I've never seen this, I've just seen clips of what my friends have showed me, but Boondocks.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, have you seen? Like I have like a lot of black homies too. They're like, have you seen the Boondocks? I was
It's
like, "No."
hilarious.
And they're like, it's basically black anime, right? And then you got things like what is it called? Samuel Jackson's in it.
Oh, Afro Samurai.
Afro Samurai.
That's another one I'm looking to see. No
Is
one
that
said
Japanese originated though?
no.
'Cause
That
Samuel
that,
Jackson is the one who
that's
voiced the
Samuel.
character.
That's Samuel L. Jackson's like project.
And that's what I love because like you're able to still mix that anime art style
Mm-hmm.
and theme that everyone loves, just Americanized.
Because I think
right?
that because I don't know if you know, Samuel L. Jackson loves anime.
Yeah, I love. Shout out Samuel Jackson. If you see this, man, shout out, bro.
Yeah. So Samuel L. like took it upon himself to like give that kind of theme. Because even though it was black, you know, I don't know if you've seen Afro Samurai.
I've seen it.
You
It
seen the
still has-
movie?
Yeah. Huh?
Did you see the movie?
Not the movie. I've seen
Just
the
seen
actual
TV?
show. Yeah.
So I haven't seen the show. I've seen clips of the show, but I've seen the movie. And you have, he did it in my opinion a really good way. This is a black character with the like black themes and vibes, but at the end of the day, it's still anime.
Yeah, that's.
It's
I
still
feel like he did it the way that like I expected it to. It was
Mhm.
like you're still set in their continent
Culture.
or their culture, but he was able to bring the representation out in the way that he knew best, right? And I think that's what makes it a great show. And I think at the end of the day, for me, you know, I'm only Mexican, right? I'm not black and I'm not Asian, but like for me, what I love is like I'm okay with it being all Asian. I'm okay with it all being like throwing that representation, but it has to make sense.
yeah. Don't just do it just for
Don't
the sake
just
of doing
it
it.
just to do it. Don't
Have
do
it make sense
Like,
and
hey,
within
you
your
know,
story.
I don't want Demon Slayer to be like, yeah, we're introducing her first, and that's what I feel like what they do with regular television.
Mhm.
It's like, you know,
Well, that's
and not to throw shade at like the sexual orientation thing, but like that's just a big topic right now, right? So then they just start, hey, we're gonna throw it in here, just throw it, and it's like
the reason why they do that though is everyone's complaining because everyone wants to be all inclusive. Like everyone needs to be
that can't-
involved.
But that can't be the case, especially in anime. It can't be the case. And if you want it to be, make your own show. Samuel Jackson did it.
I'm just saying it for the other examples. Like you have shows like
Yeah,
Disney
yeah.
and stuff. Like they're appealing to more of the other people's views. And while that maybe they think it's the right thing, it's not. Like not everyone wants that. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Look, people can do whatever they want to, but I'm not gonna be forced to, take your view. Now you can do what you want to do, but you're not gonna force them on me.
For
Just
sure.
because you want it, you can't expect someone to basically view them how you want to, and then, it just doesn't work like that.
Exactly. I don't think the world should work like that. It doesn't work like that, but there's just cancel culture in general is weird too. Like, I feel like nowadays we're at the point where sensitivity is so high where it's like, hey, if we don't get Hispanic representation, we're gonna cancel this anime, and it's like they're not even on this like continent, bro. They're on the other side of the world, and it's just weird to me. I'm like, you can have both separate. Like, not trying to sound like separate, like, but like you can have your.
And I think this presses the bigger issue. This is the reason why it's not as common. Like, one, there's rarely any black people over there. Like, there's just Asian people. If you are black or you are just outside, you're a foreigner. Like, there's
facts.
it's not like over here in the U.S. where we have
Everything's
everything
just mixed, yeah.
Yeah, this is predominantly. It's like probably 95% plus. I would imagine Asian, Koreans, or Japanese people in general. In this case, so I don't fault them for only talking about what they kind of see or perceive. And unfortunately, if they don't perceive, other races as like ideal, like they do white people, I mean, that's their decision. Like we can't fault them. I mean, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Period.
That's
you
valid
can't complain.
too.
If you want all inclusive show, make it. Do it yourself.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it. I don't fault them for not having it. The only reason I bring them the question is just out of curiosity, because like one anime that has, I would say, strong ties to Hispanic is called Megalobox. I don't know if you watched that one, but it's a lot of, especially
That's anime.
yeah, Megalobox.
If I'm thinking of the same one that we're thinking of, I thought it was like it's not a kid show.
No, not what I'm talking about. It's definitely.
Okay,
It's not.
I was like, I might be thinking of something else, and I'm
You,
like,
you think it's something else totally? It's not. It's 100% not a kid show. It's definitely an anime, and it's got a lot of Mexican roots, especially in the second season. But yeah,
I'm
I
gonna have to
think
check
at the
that
end of the
out, man.
day,
oh, I did see this. You put me on this, bro.
yeah. But I don't know if you. I put you on a lot of stuff, but you haven't watched it, so that's neither here nor
Funny,
there.
bro.
But yeah, hey, listen, there's a lot of things in anime, and I think this is just one of them we shouldn't put too much time into. Like, yes, I asked the question because in general, I'm just trying to pick people's mind to see, what they think has the best representation for them. But like, if I was to do that, I can basically say, even though I'm Asian, where's Korean representation? You know what I'm saying? These are
Yeah.
Japanese shows. I can't expect them to talk or put
Yeah.
my nationality in there. And I get it. Like, if you do put us in there, like, do it in a proper
Technically-
way.
Technically, you do have representation.
Why?
Isn't so you have
What, Tower of God?
Tower of
But
God.
even see, here,
Jujutsu Kaisen wasn't Korean.
I don't think it is. But even let's just take those examples. Where do you see Korean traits in those?
I see what
It's
you're saying.
it's still
Yeah.
Japanese, or for the most part,
It's still in the Japanese.
like they're taking that realm,
Mhm.
and it's not like they apply Korean values. It's
still
just a
set in
Korean.
Japan. It's still set in Japan.
Yeah, it's the Korean author
Yeah.
still in the mind of like how anime works and how he perceives it. It's still just what I'm
Would
saying.
you be interested, in your opinion, of having, even whether it's Korean, Japanese, American, having anime set in different locations? Because everything is like Tokyo. Everything is
I mean,
What's a
a
big
majority
one?
of it's gonna be Japan or a made-up land. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's their story. Like, I don't care to see if they're in another place. Like, even
So it
when
doesn't matter if like they're in.
if it's a good show, it's a good show. Like Vinland Saga, that's Denmark, Iceland, that's all over there, right?
I do like that. That was pretty cool. I see what you're saying. I'm just wondering because a lot of times, especially with like My Hero is like all Japan.
But
everything's all Japan.
here's the other reason why they don't.
Well, and the only reason and it's not for like inclusivity that I mean that. It's more of like
You just want to see something
story,
different.
like, don't you get tired of it being like, let me guess, Tokyo's destroyed. Godzilla did it in the 80s, and now All for One is doing it. Would you like to see that for that reason, or it's still like at the end of the day, I don't care as long as the story's good.
If the story's good, it doesn't matter. I don't care at all. If it is cool, like Vinland Saga, it's dope
Mhm.
that you see. They're talking about Vikings and all that. I don't know necessarily Vikings, but the Nordic. I don't even know what the hell they call them.
Norsemen.
Maybe
Yeah,
just
they're
though
Vikings.
that sector is refreshing for sure. But like, did that necessarily? Is that a need? No, it's nice. It's different.
For
That's
sure.
what makes it probably appealing. But I don't think it's a necessary reason to force it to be in a different region to make it a good anime. In my opinion, there's been a lot that's in other regions, but I think the very thing that we talked about in the very beginning, this is a Japanese production. Like, it's a Japanese creation, right?
And specifically, if we're honest, it's for Japanese people.
Yeah.
We just happen to
Appeal to it.
stumble upon
Yeah.
it, and weirdly enough, the United States is just so huge that it's just going crazy.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think that the creators and the authors in Japan even thought this big. Like, I don't think they were like, I think they were probably like, we're gonna be the biggest thing in Japan, and it's like, yo, we're the biggest thing in Texas. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I don't even think they care. I mean, it's not that they don't care. Of course they care, because the more people that like it,
More money
they
for them,
like it
yeah.
exactly. But a lot of times, anime is even now, it's not made for They don't look and be like, what's gonna appeal to the American audience? No, they're like,
Yeah.
what's another good anime we can put out? And then
For
so
sure.
happens that
We
people in
pick up.
America, we like it. So I think that's what it is at the end of the day. I don't think they're looking to. There's no necessarily
They're not
agendas.
trying to please us on
Yeah.
this side. It's
Yeah,
more
it's just
like
like,
if it happens too cool, like
yeah, if you take it or leave it, this is what it is. If you like it, you like it. If not, like, move around. We don't
That's
care.
valid.
That's
I
how I
mean-
think it.
I mean, and it's valid, at the end of the day, like I said, and you said it's for them, and we just happen to vibe with it
Yeah.
and ride with it,
That's just how it goes. But we're in way too. This is probably our longest episode today. We're at 1 hour and
We're out
20.
here rambling. My fault, y'all.
Hey man, it's a lot of good topics
Just
today.
I just like to like Big Vision's brain, like I said, him being like multiracial, and a lot of these things people do talk about them, and they do ask them, and it's good to just put it on there and then let people discuss in the comments, discuss how they want and give their opinions.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. Like, I feel like someone's gonna come after me for asking this question. If it got that much spotlight, it's like, why are you only asking the black people this question? But like, that's I mean, in my opinion, it's a black oriented question. I don't think it really. I see that's the type of question that will put someone in an uncomfortable situation. If I
Sure.
ask, anyone, any other race, how do you feel about black people being represented? But first of all, they're gonna be like, okay, why does this matter? It's a little weird, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's why my reasoning for.
And I mean, and to be honest, I mean, like, if we're being honest, I think I would put black and Mexican in there too, but more so black has, in my opinion, the least amount of representation
Of course.
in anime. So it's a valid question to ask, and it's not like we're asking like, hey, which anime, has a lot of. We're like, hey, in your opinion, what do you think has the best representation for you? Because at the end of the day, it's like, why do people want a black Spider-Man? We want to feel represented. We as in like I'm black, but minority.
Miles Morales is black and Mexican.
Yeah, he's half black. We do want the representation. We do want something for our kids to be like,
That's a hero.
you.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's not an important question, but when we ask these things, it's not like we're trying to press you. It's just we genuinely want to know. We want to know, because if there's an anime that has better representation than Bleach, because right now that's the top answer, then we want to know. Because if they're like, you told me about what was it called? I have it right here.
I don't know. Remember the show's name? You talking about the one with the girl?
Megalobox?
Oh, Megalobox. Yeah.
Yeah, that has Hispanic. That's something for me. I'm like, okay, cool. When I have my kids, like, that might be something that, even though that was Japanese made, Japanese production for them, that still had that representation. Like, yo, they're talking about us overseas, and that makes you feel good,
Yeah,
and
because
there's nothing
you
wrong
just
with wanting to be represented.
Yeah, because in a way you get kind of credit in another region, like you kind of respect in
Exactly,
a way.
yeah.
So yeah, for sure. But we're gonna wrap it up with that one. We didn't really talk about any specific anime, but yeah, we're gonna
We'll double down next week.
we'll cut it on that one, guys. And again, the Cherry Blossom Festival video will be out probably tomorrow. So yeah, I'll make it my mission to knock these both out tomorrow. So again, thanks for hanging out with us, man. Let us know in the comments what you thought about these topics, and is it subs?
Or is it dubs?
Peace.
We out.